This is Northern Light for Wednesday, June 24th. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Democrat Blake Gendebien and Republican Anthony Constantino won their respective primaries in New York's 21st Congressional District, and they've wasted no time trading barbs.
They can choose another self-serving wannabe D.C. insider who thinks millions of dollars can buy a seat in Congress.
Blake doesn't know why he's running. All he knows is a bunch of consultants found him in upstate New York, and they said, "You got the look. We're going to run you."
Also on the show, we'll hear from voters around the region on what their top priorities are for new representation in Congress.
Gas prices are coming down, but not much else is coming with it. I know groceries have been unbelievable, and if you're on a fixed income like I am, it's been hard to make ends meet.
And as the United States approaches its 250th anniversary this 4th of July, we're taking a historic look at the job of finding and mapping places.
All that's coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us. Support for Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio comes from today's day sponsors, Laura Kortz and Sean Seymour, in celebration of their anniversary. And from the Adirondack Council, inspiring the next generation of leaders advocating for the Adirondack Park. Details at adirondackcouncil.org. Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Primary voters in New York's 21st Congressional District have selected their nominees for the November general election. Democrats chose the party favorite, while Republicans tapped a political outsider. On the GOP side, Sticker Mule CEO Anthony Constantino defeated Assemblyman Robert Smolin with almost 60% of the vote. Dairy farmer Blake Gendebien beat fellow Democrat Stuart Amaral by almost 30 points, according to unofficial tallies. Kara Chapman has more.
Victory? Can we declare victory? All right.
Sticker Mule CEO Anthony Constantino gave a long speech to supporters at a venue on Great Sacandaga Lake Tuesday night. He thanked a lot of people, including his primary opponent.
If I just got anointed, I wouldn't have learned anything. And thank you to Robert Smolin. Thanks to Robert Smolin and everybody that fought against me. I learned a lot. I became a much better fighter, and that's what we want going into this general election.
The Republican primary between Constantino and Assemblyman Robert Smolin was a vicious one. The two men spent months attacking each other via websites, ads, social media, and their one and only debate last month. Constantino even got kicked out of a St. Lawrence County GOP event following a verbal dispute with Smolin. Smolin was endorsed by 12 of the 15 county Republican committees in the district, dozens of elected officials, and the state GOP and conservative parties. But President Donald Trump endorsed Constantino, who painted himself as the outsider in the race. He still faces a defamation lawsuit from the chair of the state conservative party and has said that if elected, he'd have to, quote, clean out the Republican committees because they are losers. Tuesday night, he called for unity.
We have to come together and unify all Republicans, all conservatives, and all sensible people, period, who want a better future.
But it remains to be seen whether Constantino will be the only Republican on the ballot in November. Smolin is the Conservative Party nominee and has called Constantino unfit for office. Speaking to reporters after he conceded, Smolin said he'll assess in the coming days whether he'll keep that ballot line for the general election.
Well, it's just very important that we get this right. People have been very good to me. I am grateful to all of the supporters in the Republican and the conservative parties in this district, all 15 counties. So I want to make sure that the path forward is very clearly defined, and we'll do that in the coming days.
It's a different story for Democrats, where St. Lawrence County farmer Blake Gendebien prevailed over Lake Placid businessman Stuart Amaral. Gendebien, who Democrats would have run in last year's special election that wasn't, was considered the party favorite. In a statement, Amaral called on his supporters to rally behind Gendebien, quote, not because politics demands it, but because the future we want demands it. In his victory speech at Davidson Brothers Brew Pub in Glens Falls, Gendebien said his campaign is for everyone who thinks upstate New York deserves better.
It's for the senior in Plattsburgh rationing her medication because she can't afford the copay. It's for the veteran coming home to the Adirondacks who can't find a doctor. It's for the family in Fort Edward sitting around the kitchen table trying to figure out how to pay their bills when everything keeps getting more expensive.
Gendebien also threw a jab at his Republican opponent, Constantino.
They can choose another self-serving wannabe D.C. insider who thinks millions of dollars can buy a seat in Congress. Someone who has always put his own interests first. Just ask the workers that he replaced with robots. Or they can choose a farmer. Someone who has spent his life working here, raising a family here, and fighting for our community.
Constantino also took aim at Gendebien.
Let's be honest, Blake doesn't know why he's running. All he knows is a bunch of consultants found him in upstate New York, and they said, you got the look. We're going to run you. And he said, what does that mean? He said, they said, it means we're going to give you a big pile of money, a few $1 million, and you get to run for Congress. He said, what does that mean? I guess it means he's running against Anthony Constantino. I don't think he knows what that means either.
Constantino's victory in the Republican primary brought a notable voice out of the woodwork. Incumbent Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who declined to endorse either Republican candidate ahead of the primary, congratulated Constantino in a social media post. She said he'll, quote, put the people first and will be a strong representative in Washington for the incredible, hardworking families in our great district. Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio.
In the 24th Congressional District, which includes Watertown and the Thousand Islands, an Afghanistan combat veteran from Western New York won the Democratic primary yesterday. Elisa Ellman won almost 60% of the votes. She defeated Diana Kassenbaum, a businesswoman from Genesee County. Both women focused on affordability in their campaigns, including the costs of childcare and energy. Ellman faces an uphill battle to unseat incumbent Republican Congresswoman Claudia Tenney in November. Tenney won her race 2 years ago by more than 30 points. Cook Political Report rates New York's 24th district as solid Republican.
Meanwhile, incumbent Tom DiNapoli is the projected winner in the Democratic primary for state comptroller. He prevailed over two Democratic challengers, Raj Goyal and Drew Warshaw. They're the first opponents he's faced in a primary in his 19 years in office. DiNapoli will face Republican candidate Joseph Hernandez in November. Hernandez did not have a primary opponent.
Our reporters spoke with voters across the region yesterday about the changes they hope to see in the 21st Congressional District and the issues they're most concerned about. Many people said they're frustrated about the economy and affordability. Others said they're worried about the state of democracy. Emily Russell reports.
Abigail Walco walked out of her polling place in Saranac Lake on Tuesday with a big grin across her face. Primary day was pretty special for the high school senior.
My 18th birthday was yesterday, so my parents were really excited because, how many times do you turn 18 and have an election right after your birthday?
Walco is a registered Democrat. She sees voting as a way to show support for the issues she cares about, including climate change and women's reproductive rights.
The whole abortion conversation has been a big part of my life, just being a woman growing up and, moving into a world where, don't really know what's going to be impacting me, but I know that, abortion right is going to be something that's impacting me. So my main focus has been on that.
For many other voters, the economy was top of mind as they cast their ballots in the primary. John Davison and Rachel Dion are both Republicans. Dion is from Briar Hill, and Davison is from Ogdensburg in St. Lawrence County.
We just can't afford to live around here with the Democrats in charge.
Same thing. I'm voting red, straight across.
Davison and Dion blame the high prices on Democratic leadership in Albany and Governor Kathy Hochul. But for Edmund Barr, a Democrat from Ogdensburg, he says the blame lies with President Donald Trump.
Gas prices are coming down, but not much else is coming with it. Groceries have been unbelievable, and if you're on a fixed income like I am, it's been hard to make ends meet.
Barr says he's lucky he has a pension to keep him afloat in this economy. For LeGrand Gepner, his top concern is also affordability, but specifically for veterans like himself. Gepner is a Democrat from Morrisonville, just west of Plattsburgh.
There's a lot of issues I'm looking for, but I'm trying to figure out how we can get the economy back where it's safe for VAs and everybody else and all disabled veterans.
Veterans make up about 7.5% of the North Country's population, which is more than twice the statewide average. John Rock, a Republican from Schuyler Falls in Clinton County, says support for veterans and senior citizens is his top priority on primary day.
The veterans and the seniors are in dire need of help. I mean, not only in this little area, but all across the country.
Rock says a candidate with a military background is important to him. That's what informed his vote in the Republican primary for the 21st Congressional District.
I'm not afraid to say it. I voted for Robert Smullen. Number one, he's a veteran. Number two, he's a patriot. And we need more of that in this country.
The Republican primary pitted Smullen, a state assemblyman, against Anthony Constantino, a political newcomer and business owner. Brian Merriam is a Republican from Tupper Lake who says Constantino's experience running Sticker Mule is what sold him.
Mr. Constantino seems to understand that running a business is very difficult, and he has apparently been quite successful at it from all that I can see in an area that's pretty depressed economically, and he's done a pretty good job.
On the Democratic side, voters were choosing between Lake Placid restaurant owner Stuart Amaral and St. Lawrence County dairy farmer Blake Gendebien. David Diggert is a Democrat from the St. Lawrence County town of Russell. He cast his ballot on Tuesday for Gendebien.
He's a regular fella, and he knows what it's like to work hard, pay his bills, and I think with either of the Republicans, we all lose.
Diggert believes democracy is at stake in this year's midterms, and Beverly Duquette agrees.
I feel that our democracy is just disappearing before our eyes.
She's a Democrat from West Plattsburgh and wants a representative in Congress who will speak out against President Trump.
Someone who can speak the truth. The truth is so important. The whole truth, not just a segment that's blown out of proportion.
Philip Buck is a Democrat from Saranac Lake. He also wants his representative to push back against the president.
But beyond that, I would want to see progressive things at a national level, things like healthcare reform and education reform, that kind of thing.
There were no primaries on Tuesday for the governor's race since there's only one candidate per party. Governor Hochul will face Republican Bruce Blakeman in November. Doug Bidwell is a Republican from the town of Russell. He supports Blakeman and believes it's time to vote Hochul out.
She's making laws really terrible against the way we do life here. Gun laws, everything laws. So we need somebody new in there.
Now that the primaries are over, candidates for the top races will ramp up their campaigns ahead of the November midterms, which are less than 5 months away. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio.
This is NCPR. Listening to Northern Light from North Country Public Radio. It's 8:14. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around. We'll learn more about the history of land surveying.
That's coming up in just a few minutes here on Northern Light. But let's hear a little bit of more music first from Lucas Garrett out of Glens Falls. Support for Northern Light comes from Fort de la Presentation, celebrating America's 250th anniversary with Living History Days, an interactive and family-friendly Revolutionary War encampment in Ives Park, Potsdam, on June 27th and 28th, coming up this weekend. And from the North Country Children's Museum in Potsdam, now featuring a second floor of hands-on and minds-on exhibits and programs for children 12 and under. Open Wednesday to Sunday. NorthCountryChildren'sMuseum.org.
The Trump administration is suing New York State over its recently passed immigration law. Jimmy Vielkind reports for the New York Public News Network.
The new state law prohibits formal cooperation agreements with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It also restricts all law enforcement officers, including ICE agents, from wearing masks while on duty. The Justice Department says Albany lawmakers overstepped their authority in trying to regulate the federal government, so they sued the state. John Sarcone is the U.S. attorney based in Albany. He says the state should stay in its lane.
It's a separation, right? There's the state, there's a federal system. Federal law enforcement has a right and duty to do their job.
Governor Hochul is defending the new law. She sued to let the mask restrictions go into effect this week and says they are important to upholding public trust in law enforcement. In Albany, I'm Jimmy Vielkind for the New York Public News Network.
The St. Lawrence County Sheriff says his department needs more money to cover increasing overtime costs for jail staff. According to WWNY-TV, St. Lawrence County Sheriff Rick Engel is asking for $300,000 from the county legislature. He says the number of inmates has increased by 15 to 20% over the last 5 years. He says the higher population requires more overtime staffing, which has contributed to budget overruns. Engel says the county's been working to reduce overtime hours by about half compared with the first 3 months of the year. The funding request is still waiting for a full board vote.
22 divers helped clean the shoreline of the St. Lawrence River in Alexandria Bay. The Thousand Islands Divers Alliance organized the cleanup. According to the Watertown Daily Times, the SS Islander site near Alexandria Bay is popular among divers. That boat caught fire and sank in 1909. The Alliance regularly monitors the area to help maintain water quality through efforts like this cleanup. The divers collected trash from the bottom of the St. Lawrence River, and they removed about 500 pounds of debris.
And after more than a decade of planning and 3 years of construction, the Buffalo Bills have cut the ribbon on their new home. As the New York Public News Network's Ryan Zunner reports, the new Highmark Stadium is about continuing a legacy while building a new chapter.
It was a who's who of Buffalo Bills history at the ribbon cutting. Legendary players like Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas, dignitaries from government and pro sports, and thousands of tradespeople who put near nonstop efforts into getting Highmark Stadium built. Team owner Terry Pagula giving credit to them.
Behind me is a wall with right now 5,369 names of you hardworking Americans who got this stadium built. It's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to get the money. It's another thing to get it done. So thank you.
Governor Kathy Hochul, a Buffalo native, says it was imperative that state and county government finance the project to keep the team in Buffalo. About $850 million in public money paid for the stadium, while $550 million came from the Bills and the NFL.
The economic benefit, but also there's a psychological benefit. Buffalo would not be Buffalo without this team, part of our identity.
Architecture firm Populous designed the stadium. Lead designer Jonathan Malley worked with the Pagulas, having been inspired by the fan base first experience during a visit to England's Tottenham Stadium.
There was an intimacy about that building, and that was really the quality that we wanted to, capture and take forward. But this stadium was designed purely for Buffalo.
The legacy of Bills founder, the late Ralph Wilson, was undeniable during the ceremony. His widow, Mary Wilson, was emotional as a featured guest.
Today, I'm wearing his Hall of Fame scarf when he went into the Hall of Fame. And this is definitely a Hall of Fame football stadium, Highmark Stadium. Congratulations. And what do we say? Go Bills!
The Bills will play preseason games at the stadium, with the first regular season game scheduled for September 17th against the Detroit Lions. In Buffalo, Ryan Zunner for the New York Public News Network.
This is NCPR. listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. It's 8:21. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around after the show for Bird Note. That's coming up at 8:42. With our eyes to the skies, sunset in Peru is at 8:43 tonight, and the moon is a waxing gibbous at 67% full.
Another beautiful day is on tap for you. Sunny skies are coming your way with highs expected to be in the lower to upper 70s. Light winds out of the northwest under partly to mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow, there is a chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow and Friday, too, with more showers and thunderstorms possible as we head into the weekend as well. Today, though, it's sunny and beautiful, and highs are in the 70s. Last check, it was 59 degrees in Malone and in Newcomb, 65 degrees already in Glens Falls and in Cape Vincent, 58 degrees in Old Forge.
Professional land surveying is one of America's oldest professions. Several U.S. presidents, including George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Abraham Lincoln, worked as surveyors before entering public life. As the U.S. approaches its 250th anniversary this July 4th, we're taking a historic look at the job of finding and mapping places.
Jeremy Thompson is a surveying instructor at the SUNY ESF Ranger School and a member of the New York State Association of Professional Land Surveyors. He spoke with Amy Feiereisel.
We say that surveying is one of the oldest professions around. And this ties into why boundary and property surveys, for example, are so highly regulated, is ownership of land. Things of value to people, some things that they strongly value is property. So understanding and being able to determine where the limits of those parcels are is something that's been around literally as long as time. As long as people have been developing civilizations, they've developed boundaries. And who did they trust to determine where these were? Surveyors love to promote the fact that many of the great world leaders were surveyors, right? We love to talk about Mount Rushmore, right? The three surveyors and the other person.
Okay. Tell me more about traditions and lore around land surveying.
Even into Greek and Roman times, there was a belief that boundaries were sacred and they would honor them. They even have a god. Terminus is the Greek god of boundaries. And they would celebrate Terminus in what they called Terminalia, which is every year, February 23rd, I believe. They would have a festival and they would feast and they would go out and they would honor their Greek god of boundaries. Community members would get together and walk their common boundaries with the next generation, with the children of the community. So everyone saw where their boundaries were and could perpetuate them moving forward. And the beating the bounds has been a fun tradition because I'm sure a lot of it's a little bit of a folklore, but, the stories have evolved where they would take children's hands and place them on a boundary monument, a rock or some feature, and then they would smash it with another rock to cause pain. And they would say, you're now going to remember this forever. So remember where it happened. So you now know where this boundary is. But the premise was solid. Ancient times, they would beat the bounds. So they would walk the boundaries to preserve them. So everyone knew where they were. So really, what surveyors do hasn't changed a whole lot in 1,000+ years. It's just the tools that they're using to do it is what's changed.
Okay, I have to ask, bringing it into the present day, what do you love about surveying? Why have you made this your career, both doing the work and teaching it?
I like finding things that people don't know where they're at. I like solving the puzzle. I tell my students that a good surveyor is not just a measurer. Okay, a surveyor should be a blend of an archaeologist, right? A mathematician, a historian. Like making the invisible visible is one of the terms we use when it comes to boundary lines. because people may have a general idea, oh, my line's over there, but where? I don't know, somewhere here. And it's up to the surveyor to say definitively.
That was Jeremy Thompson talking about the history of land surveying. Thompson is a licensed surveyor and an instructor at the SUNY ESF Ranger School in Wanakena. He spoke with Amy Fireisel.
Support for Northern Light comes from the Northern New York Community Foundation, serving Jefferson, Lewis, and St. Lawrence counties since 1929, helping donors fulfill their charitable giving goals to forever strengthen the places they love. Online at nnycf.org. And from Mountain Orthotic and Prosthetic Services, a full-service practice providing care for patients of all ages, with offices in Lake Placid, Plattsburgh, Malone, and Burlington. Online at mountainonp.com.
Here come the rays. Put on your shades. It's gonna be a sunny day. I can't get enough. Let's soak it up. Sunlight, bring me back to life. I need to feel alive. I'm checking in at the sun shining. I can feel my heart start to beat again. I'm checking in at the sun shining. Dig your toes in the sand with a cold drink in hand. We're not moving till the sun goes down. Love's in the air. I feel it everywhere. Make this feeling last all year. I need to feel alive. I can feel my heart start to beat again. I'm checking in at the sun shining. I'm checking in at the sun shining. I can feel my heart start to beat again. I'm checking in at the sun shining. I'm checking in. From September to April and sometimes May, the weather's got me down, it's cold and gray. I don't wanna have to wait another day. I'm on my way. I don't wanna have to wait another day. The weather's got me down, it's cold and gray. I don't wanna have to, I'm not gonna have to, no, I'm on my way.
Sunshine In from Malone's artist, Josie Allard. She's got a series of concerts coming up this summer. She'll, including in Tupper Lake next month. She'll be playing at P2's Irish Pub and at the Wild Center, too. Then she's got other stops in Plattsburgh, Chateauguay, and at Prairie Orchards in Malone. You can find more on her website. That's it for the show for the day. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Be well.
The sun shining, I can feel my